fantastic band, amazing musicians. It's like, why wouldn't I want to do this? And he said, because you're Eddie Jobson. And I didn't quite know what that meant, you know, but to him it was that I'd played in Curved Air, I'd played on the King Crimson album, you know, I'd been in Roxy, I'd been around, I'd played with it, tons of people, you know, in England. And he saw me as this original progressive rock keyboard player and didn't understand why I would be playing Fender Rhodes kind of jazz chords and, you know, B3, very American blues-based kind of stuff, and the Zappa stuff, and he just didn't quite get that because he saw me as this other person. So he put the seed in my mind that, oh yeah, I guess he's right, you know, that I'm this sort of British progressive guy, and even though I can do the Zappa stuff, and I can do this, and I can play country fiddle, and, you know, I shouldn't be doing that. I should just be kind of doing the stuff I started out doing with Curved Air back when I was 17. So that's where I was coming from. When we got to London, I persuaded Frank to play in London because he never wanted to play back in London because he'd had some very bad experiences there, and somebody actually pushed him off the stage in London, and he was crippled. He'd really injured his back. He was in a wheelchair for 9 months. So he didn't want to go back to London, but I persuaded him, because I was British, would he play in London? So he said, okay, you know, I'll come and we'll play in London. So we did the gig in London with Frank, and I went back to the hotel after the gig, and I had a couple of visitors, John Wetton and Bill Bruford. So we'll pick up from that in a second. But maybe John wants to say what he was doing before that led up to that meeting in the hotel room after the Frank Zappa concert in London between Bill and John and myself.
Yeah.
So you were in Australia, right?
Bill and I had played in King Crimson during the Loxton Aspic and Silas and Bible Black period. And we just finished recording Red. In fact, Eddie had done some guest spots on Red, and we were looking to take Crimson on the road again. Robert Fripp didn't want to do it, but we were kind of poised at that point where we were moving out of being a cult band into mainstream, really, taking really kind of strange music into mainstream America. And Robert didn't want to do it, so we decided. After Bill went off and played with Genesis, I played with Roxy Music for a while, and I got the same thing from a guy called John Kolodner, who was an A&R guy. Came up to me after a Roxy Music gig at Santa Monica Civic. He said, "Why are you doing this?" And I said, "Well, you know, it's Roxy Music. They're kind of popular." He said, "No, no, no,
it's a great band. It's a great band.
It's a great band." But he said, "Well, no, you should be doing something else. You got this great heritage, and why aren't you doing?" So I wrote to Bill, actually, from Australia, Bill Bruford, and I said, every time I play a gig, somebody comes up to me afterwards and said, why are you doing this, and why aren't you doing something more like King Crimson? So we pulled our resources when I came back from that, and that led up to coming to see you in the hotel room.
Is this in the PA? Yes. Now the Wakeman thing had come slightly before that, right?
Yeah, nothing happened from that. That got troubled in by a manager. We rehearsed for 6 weeks, Bill Bruford, myself, and Rick Wakeman, and it was really good. You know, it's good, but the management decided that wasn't for them, and they pulled Rick out of it. So that just died a natural death, but made us more determined to do something.
And I just found out about 25 minutes ago that 30 years, the UK song 30 Years, came from those Rick Wakeman sessions.
Yeah.
A song John had written for that.
And also a song that Bill brought out of it was called Beelzebub, which I think was one of his solos on the Bruford album.
Yeah.
So how quickly did the first album come together then, guys? John, you could tell me that maybe, or maybe Eddie.
No, before we've even got there, because we're not quite there yet, we're still in the hotel room.
I'll get room service then.
No, so we'd all kind of, at least John and I had independently come to the idea that we should do something as a somewhat extension of the Red period King Crimson, and they seemed interested in having me as the fourth member. I'd overdubbed violin parts and some fuzz. It says piano, but it was fuzz Hona pianette, which sounds like a distorted bass, right across the USA album. So I had that kind of slight King Crimson association. And what they approached me with in the hotel room, remember having already got this in my mind about from the roadie that, you know, you should like be this British progressive guy again. So the idea was that Robert Fripp and John and Bill Bruford and I would form another group, except Robert didn't want to call it King Crimson. I've still never been quite sure why, but he wanted to call it the League of Gentlemen. So I was a little disappointed because I thought, you know, King Crimson had a better ring to it. And so I essentially said, okay, that's fine. That sounds like a great plan. So I went back to Los Angeles. John, what did you do at that point? No, remember? I know. Think about that. Robert. John went on vacation at that point.
That was in there somewhere, yeah. I did a year with Uriah Heep, which was very enjoyable. Again, it wasn't, you know,